Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. Welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another video in the series on churches in the Cheshire churches, and this is up in the Cheshire Peak District now. We're in the wonderful Cheshire Peak District village of Wildboarclough. I mean, what's not to like about the name, Wild Boar? Used to be quite common here because it's named for the fact that they used to hunt them around here. Pig sticking, a joyful life, as one has put it. This church was built 1901 to 1909. It replaced a 17th century building. And this was built by Lady Stanley, Countess of Derby, who built it as a thank offering for the safe return of her son from the South African War. It's all of one piece, the furnishings and everything, and there are still many signs of its long past. The Stanleys had, and maybe they still do have in fact, a house just up from the church. It's a hunting lodge really. Big house for, it's called Crag Hall, big house for this area, but not so big for the Stanleys, who their big house used to be at, not very far from here, at Alderley Park, that's the name. So have a look around, and I say evening is falling. There's just the one light in the nave, but I haven't managed to find all the lights to go on in the chancel, and of course I will be putting some money in the box to pay for that. And so here we are, St Saviour's, Wildboarclough. And I haven't said this for months, but we'll start, as usual, at the west end. See, there's the door, and this is the font. The font, of course, 1900s again, and it's got this nice little cover with, on top of it, you have a figure of a sheep, because, of course, this is sheep farming country. You've got these angled seats around the font. Nice brass umbrella holders, very important, and of course the heating system. It's cold enough here for me to see my own breath while speaking. So we've got the War Memorial here. There's a list of vicars, which of course only goes back as far as 1909, and as before then there would have been a chaplain, and it would have been associated with Macclesfield Forest Chapel. And here we have the War Memorial. There's eight men went out and died, and many more went out and came back. So it's an important thing to remember when we see the numbers. We've got a clerestory, sort of, kind of, couple of dormer windows really. Very pretty, we'll see on the outside. Have to be relatively quick on the inside because it's getting dark out there. Pulpit, very nice pulpit, with a banner on the front to the centenary, and it's a nice 1900s. You've got these really nice wood carving. Now these pews at the front were for the Crag Hall guests. They're actually they're bigger pews, a bit more leg room. After all, you paid for the church, you can decide how much leg room you get. And they've got their own hymn books, prayer books there. Chancel, we have an altar table and choir stalls. And of course we are, well, yes, we're still in, historically we were in Lichfield, we're in Chester Diocese rather, so it's Chester Diocese, we're in Cheshire, sorry. And here we have the bishop's chair. You can see with a mitre on the back, and yeah, very much mildly high church, but not super duper high church. I'm not sure they ever lock this building. It is deep in the Peak District. A little fontlet there, and you can see there's an aumbrey, apparently, not a tabernacle, but an aumbrey in the altar services, and what they would call them. Crag Church 1904. It was known as Crag Church because it was associated with Crag. There's an electric organ there, and then we look west, and it's just gorgeous in the gloom, the gathering gloom. Abide with me, as I quoted at the beginning of this video. Not a lot of history, of course. It's a memorial, or a thank offering really, and it speaks again of that era, that just before the First World War, 1909, and that, as one has put it, that bright, brittle era that was killed off when the shells fell on Flanders fields, and the young men commemorated on that war memorial on the wall there, marched after war, and some of them never to return, and all of them to have their lives irreparably changed. And the Stanleys too, irreparably changed. The big Bible there, big lectern Bible, nice big print there. Open Edwardian church, and it speaks very much of that era. A little bit of arts and crafts detailing in the roof. So that's the inside. Not a lot to see beyond what we've seen, because it's such a teeny tiny, lovely little church. So we'll proceed outside and around, and then have a look, and we'll have the usual rather closing word. And so we're outside at Wildboarclough. It's a lot brighter out here than I imagined, but it isn't 5 o'clock yet, and it's late February, 20th of February, so it explains. Now, there used to be a Methodist chapel here. It's disappeared. It's somewhere under its foundations are somewhere under the graveyard. The only church here now is this building, St Saviour's. You can see a little stumpy tower. It sits down here in the valley. It's not much. It doesn't stand out as a building. It's a nice, unobtrusive, rustic structure. So we'll have a look around the outside and appreciate it for what it is, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous building. And so exterior Wildboarclough, and we have this. I say it's a bit of a stumpy tower, and there does have bells, but a nice little weather vane. I'm not quite sure how useful weather vane is, given that we're down in the bottom of a valley here, but it must have its value. And so the Methodist chapel would have been over by that gate down there in the corner, and it's just pulled down and subsumed into the graveyard here at St Saviour's. A yew tree, they're very common in graveyards. Little vestry sticking out on the north side, and you can see we haven't got the dormers on the north side, because it's the north side. Why bother? There is the Crag Hall is just above. There is the stairs down to the heating plant in the basement. As I've said before, it's not a theological statement, however much one might think it could be. It's a convenient place to put your heating plant down in the basement. They're generally not used these days because we have modern electric heaters rather than the old coke-fired boilers, which consumed a lot of coke. And we're actually here, so you've got oil now, actually. Nice. Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes sense. Oil. And here we've got, I've left the lights on just to get a glow from the inside. You can see here, east window, heads either side. There's Lord and Lady Stanley, by the way, because it is this memorial for them. You can see there's the foundation stone, almost worn away. You can't see the inscription really, but it is a foundation stone there. It's not just a, and that's the Stanleys' personal, private gate to the churchyard. They come down from Crag Hall that way, and here we have. And this is what I think is really gorgeous about this building is those. Well, there's somebody not anticipating quite how bendy the road is around here. It's very bendy. There's the chancel. You've got the lights on just to get this glow that you can see there, and there you've got foundation stones there, and you've got the dormer windows and a rather nice elaborate cast iron weather vane system up there. So that is St Saviour's Wildboarclough. And the Stanleys were the hereditary, they probably still are, the hereditary wardens of Macclesfield Forest. And this is in Macclesfield Forest, and so they used to hunt wild boar here, and their descendants built the current church, even as Stanleys built the previous church. Stone slab roof, very traditional kind of style, and it's interesting the almost domestic style of the building, and it goes with this almost domestic scale, I suppose. It is very much like a private chapel for them. Of course it's not, it is the parish church. So, beautiful, beautiful little building. And so outside at Wildboarclough, so that's Wildboarclough. I'm going to make this a bit brief because I'm having to squat a bit out into the lie of the land, but you can see what a beautiful church it is. a monument to a vanished past. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.